Welcome to my incredible performance, powered by the strength of the Performages! Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts! I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. In case you're unfamiliar, I have a Patreon, and once every month my patrons get to vote on one 10-minute testing from a selection list provided by my whales. This month you demanded Performage, a deck designed from stem to stern to be a 1-minute overview to get the full TM treatment. Well, I'm not one to disappoint, but let me warn you in advance, this deck does. Presenting Performage.
You rolling with me, you better roll an MAGE.
So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is a one-stop shop for all things Yu-Gi-Oh! They're responsible for the pack opener that makes series like Progression possible. They've got strategy articles for those looking to flesh out their fundamentals. They're the most complete repository of deck lists and results from regionals and YCSs online, and they've also got cube and draft infrastructure that's finally seeing use now that Yu-Gi-Oh! Players have come to the light of Limited. There's a good chance that any Yu-Gi-Oh! Content you see on YouTube has Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck's many tendrils somewhere within its DNA. So why not go to the source and improve your game, draft with friends, or just see what 11-year-olds are playing in their Blue Eyes decks this month? Head on over to YGOPRODECK.com. Now back to the video. So with that, let's peek at Performage. The Performages were the on-screen cards used by Dennis, one of the greatest dual tainers in Arc V, but you probably know them better because of their application in one of the greatest decks of all time, Pepe. Performage Plushfire, pre-errata, was incredibly pushed, but Damage Juggler, Trick Clown, and Hat Tricker all featured in double digits of disastrous brews for almost a decade after their debut. Due to these monsters' power, Konami was hesitant to release the additional waves of support this archetype had in the anime, and who can blame them? But now, the format's largely eclipsed Pendulum. After all, how do they beat Detonator? So what's the harm? One Plushfire errata later, and these monsters are poised for power alongside their greatest asset, Heavy Metal Foe's Electromite. But here we have a problem, don't we? While the OCG got to play with these cards alongside Pendulum's greatest playmaker, we don't. That card isn't legal here for some reason, meaning we've got to get more creative about making these cards even remotely playable. As a result, we've engineered the deck to use Shadowmaker to both facilitate a Fiendsmith engine, a small Tellarknight package, and make use of an oft-overlooked endboard piece in Chaos Masquerade. Because the archetype now contains a rank-up magic, it can efficiently make this Negator, which also halves the opponent's life points. It isn't much, in the grand scheme of dual taining, but until we get Electromite back, it'll have to do. So with that, let's get into the card by card. I first want to draw your attention to Performage Fire Dancer's Pendulum effect. Once per turn, you can target a Performage you control. If it attacks a defense position monster this turn, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And its monster effect, if normally special, you can add a Performage from your deck to your hand, except itself. And if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target a face-up monster on the field that loses 500 attack. Why does that effect exist? Why does the piercing effect exist? These effects wouldn't be powerful on cards printed in 2014, let alone 2025. I don't know, man. I guess the last one has synergy with Mirror. After that, we've got 3 copies of Performage Water Dancer, which in the Pendulum scale, if you control a Performage, allows you to special this card, and when a monster declares an attack, you can target an attack position monster on the field, changing to the defense position. As a monster, if Pendulum summoned, you can add a Poly from your deck or graveyard to your hand, and if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target an attack position monster on the field and switch it to defense. We're playing 3 copies of Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser. This is just a generally important piece of our setup combo. It also helps that it's so flexible that it can be summoned at pretty much any time. And finally, 3 copies of Performage Ball Balancer. This card during the main phase can send a Performage Pendulum monster from your face-up extra deck to the graveyard to increase this card's Pendulum scale by the sent monsters. And if you control a Performage monster as a monster effect, it can be special from your hand. If normally special, you can either add a Performage Pendulum monster from your deck to your face-up extra, or destroy a Performage monster you control, which procs some of their powerful effects. When an opponent's special summoned monster declares a direct attack, this can be specialed from your graveyard. Listen, one of them had to have effects that actually did something. We're playing old Performages as well, 2 copies of Damage Juggler, 1 copy of Trick Clown. After that, we've got the small Fiendsmith Engine, 2 Engraver, 1 Lacrima, and 1 Fabled Lurry, and our Singleton Tellarknight Lyran, which we need for our Tellarknight setup. We've got Tracked, Rank Up Magical Force, which allows you to target a rank 4 Spellcaster Xyz in your graveyard, special it, and then special summon a rank 5 Spellcaster Xyz from your extra by using it as material, and 1 copy of Constellar Tellarknight, which is part of the setup. We've got Foolish Burial and Fiendsmith in Paradise, followed by the non-engine Ash Blossom Effect Failure, 1 apiece of Fuelos and Nibiru, because this deck cannot beat any hand trap whatsoever, hence the Called by the Grave and 3 Crossout Designator. We're also on 3 Imperm. In the extra, we've got our Fiendsmith cards, Requiem and Moon of the Closed Heaven alongside a sequence. Beyond the Pendulum is sort of Electronamite if you squint and don't read the text on the card. SP Little Knight, of course, is a good generic piece. We've got Tolmaeus and Caduceus as part of the Tellarknight setup. We've got Masquerade. We've got Shadowmaker, which is just so irritating in so many ways. 3 level 5s. When a card effect is activated that targets this card, you can detach a material from this card to special summon a Performage Shadowmaker from your extra deck. And you can detach a material from this card to send a Performage monster from your deck to the graveyard and add a Rum from your deck to your hand. This card is so much harder to get out than it reads. We're playing Chaos Masquerade, which is incredibly powerful. Arc Rebellion Xyz Dragon to OTK. Constellar Tolmi M7 for corner cases. DDD Wave High King Caesar, Necroquip, and Desiree. In the side, we've just got all the hits. So with that, let's check out some games. Our first match is up against Exosister, and this is going to show off not only the mainline combo, but also give you a good idea of how this deck plays into simplified board states. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Fulos, but we have the Ash Blossom for the minigame. We'll fire off a copy of Tracked into a Dominus Purge, and now it's time for the 1 card. Let's begin with a copy of Fire Dancer. We're going to go ahead and grab a Ball Balancer, 2-hand. Then afterwards, we're going to special summon the Ball Balancer, activate its effect in order to set to face up extra this Water Dancer. Next up is Caduceus. Let's go for the Tellarknight Lyran. That's going to be met with an Infinite Impermanence, but thankfully we have a copy of Crossout Designator, otherwise we would just be passing here. We're going to go for the Constellar Tellarknights, and we'll go for an M7 so we can rank up into a copy of Tolmaeus that has 3 material. From here, we'll activate the Tolmaeus effect, sending everything to the graveyard in order to make a Shadow Master, then Shadow Master's effect to send a copy of Damage Juggler, grab a Rum, and then activate its effect in order to summon a Fire Dancer. Damage Juggler here is going to grab us a copy of Water Dancer, and let's make a Beyond the Pendulum with our 1 Pendulum monster, and then we can scale both the Water Dancer and the Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser we searched in order to perform a Pendulum Summon. We're going to bring out 1, 2, the Water Dancer and the Fire Dancer, triggering the effect of the Water Dancer to summon it, and then overlaying for a Masquerade. Let's link those off for a Moon of the Closed Heaven into a Fiendsmith Requiem. Now we're doing the Fiendsmith half the deck. We're going to go for Lacrima, use the effect of the Lacrima to send a copy of Fiendsmith Engraver to the graveyard, and we will re-equip the Lacrima to go into a Necroquip, the Engraver to summon it to our side of the field, and go into a copy of Caesar before we finally fire off the Rum, targeting the Masquerade, so we can go into an Umbral Horror Masquerade C104. We'll pass back to our opponent, who's going to begin with a copy of Martha. That's going to be met with a Caesar. From this position, they're going to normal summon a copy of Stella and activate the effect Grey News that allows us to get the Sophia out of the hand while negating the Stella's effect. They go down to 4 and they'll make a Typhon. They'll go to the battle phase and walk over this Caesar before we activate the effect of the Lacrima in main phase 2, summoning out the Requiem, activating the Requiem effect in order to bring back the Lacrima, and using her effect in order to send from deck to the graveyard another copy of Engraver. From this position, should just be a hop, skip, and a jump to lethal. We'll activate Engraver's effect, shuffling back Engraver, summoning it to our side of the field, then activate the effect of the Requiem in graveyard, targeting the Engraver, so we can use the Engraver to send this copy of Typhon to the grave. From here, we can just go battle and hit in for 3 and lethal. Our second match is up against Primite Blue Eyes, and unfortunately showcases one of the major weaknesses of this deck. Sometimes you have to go second. Our opponent's going to begin with a copy of Maiden. That Maiden is going to fetch them a True Light into a Lordly Load. We negate that because, honestly, I don't think we can beat Barrel. Even though the tastier negate is Wishes for Eyes of Blue, maybe we can beat that. They're going to go for Sage with Eyes of Blue. That's going to grab them from deck to hand a copy of Effect Veiler, followed up with a Spirit with Eyes of Blue. In order to grab the field spell, they will set the Mausoleum, activate its effect in order to send a Blue Eyes to the graveyard, then use the effect of the Spirit in order to tag out for that Blue Eyes, triggering the effect of the Maiden in graveyard. From this position, they're going to be able to perform a Synchro Summon. First, of course, they will equip this copy of Neo from their extra deck before ending on a Spirit Dragon and a set card. We'll begin with a copy of Tracked. That's to grab us a Lurry. We'll use Lurry's effect in graveyard, and they will negate it. Okay, 1 down. From this position, we will go for Curtain Raiser. They will, of course, use this effect of Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon to retain a negate. Next up is Majesty with the White Dragons in order to pop my entire board. We can at least summon back the Trick Clown, but from here, there's not much we can do. We'll go Engraver in order to grab a copy of Fiendsmith in Paradise before activating the graveyard effect of Engraver to get it to our side of the field, make a Requiem, and walk into an Ash Blossom. All right, we'll go next. Sheesh. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's playing Fiendsmith Raziel, and this is exactly the hand we don't want to see. We're going to begin with a copy of Engraver. Engraver for Tract into an Ash Blossom. No biggie, no biggie. Maybe we can make this work. We're going to scale this copy of Curtain Raiser. We're going to summon it to our side of the field. Then afterwards, we're going to go for a normal summon of Lurry into a Requiem. We'll go Requiem effect. That's going to grab us a Lacrima. Lacrima effect in order to send from deck to graveyard a copy of Fiendsmith in Paradise before we go for Caduceus. We'll activate the effect of the Caduceus, and they let it resolve. Thank you. Into a Constellar Tellarknights in order to make a Tolme. We're going to go for the Constellar Tellarknight to go into Tolme. We'll activate the effect, and afterwards, we will summon a copy of Shadowmaker. Shadowmaker is going to go ahead and send here, and oh, right, okay, that is a devastating effect failure. Maybe we can still make this work. We'll bring back this Engraver to go into a sequence effect in order to shuffle back 3 monsters and make a copy of Desiree, and yeah, that's the end board. Okay, well, hopefully we can beat double Bonfire. Probably not. They're going to go for a Bonfire. They're going to grab a copy of Ice. They'll normal the Ice. They'll activate the effect of the Ice. That's a perfect infinite impermanence for us. Afterwards, they will just go ahead and overlay for a Typhon. We can Paradise that away, or at least we could, but for the Ash Blossom. Okay, we at least should get rid of the Typhon's bounce effect, so they have to walk over. That means we can use the effect of the Damage Juggler to get it out of our hand, and use the effect of the Desiree to trade for the Sky Crisis, but we are in a decent position here. We'll draw for turn. That's not a bad one. Let's normal summon this copy of Fire Dancer. We'll activate the effect to grab a Ball Balancer. Ball Balancer will summon to our side of the field, then activate the effect of the Ball Balancer in order to grab from deck to the extra deck a Water Dancer. We will go Damage Juggler into Water Dancer, and from this position we can activate the Water Dancer to summon it to our side of the field. Finally, we can make Moon into Requiem effect in order to grab a copy of Lacrima, and we can activate the Lacrima in order to send the last copy of Engraver. We'll go Engraver, shuffle back Desiree, and from here we can use the Requiem targeting the Engraver in order to increase its attack stat. We get in for a fair amount of damage here, but not lethal, which is devastating. We'll make a sequence and try for the Desiree again, but again, we are kind of flying blind. It sucks that after we've gone through everything once, it is kind of difficult in order to make the board again. So we're going to banish the Ice Raziel. Maybe should have banished the Typhon in order to play around like the Xyz in graveyard type stuff. We will Desiree to cut off access to Tract, but the second Bonfire comes down and I know it's lights out. They're going to go for the effect of Ice Raziel. They'll activate its effect to grab a copy of Sword. Sword effect to do nothing. They just want to go Duo Drive and win in main phase 2. All right, that's fine. So it's time for game 2, and God, can our opponents stop drawing hand traps? Okay, the good news about this one is they haven't drawn any action, so as long as we can do anything, we should be fine. We'll go Engraver into Fiendsmith in Paradise, into Tract to grab Lurry, pitch Lurry, we'll activate the effect of the Lurry to summon it to our side of the field, into a copy of Requiem, into a Foolos. Okay, that is worth a crossout designator. We do have a Foolos in deck just for this eventuality. Afterwards, we're going to go for a copy of Lacrima effect. That's going to send from deck to graveyard another copy of Engraver, then we'll normal summon a Damage Juggler to overlay for Caduceus. We'll activate Caduceus' effect to grab a copy of Tellarknights, and then afterwards, we're going to go for M7 into Tellarknights, activate the effect of the Tellarknights to go into Tolme. Tolme's effect will trigger here. We will go ahead and summon a copy of Shadowmaker. Shadowmaker effect is going to send a copy of this Fire Dancer, and they will then once again effect Veiler. So good last time. Might as well try it now. We will activate the effect of the Damage Juggler into an Ash Blossom. That's great news because we can still do just a little here. We'll bring back the Engraver into a sequence, activate the sequence effect in order to shuffle 3 back, and then afterwards we can end on a Desiree pass. We also have the live Fiendsmith in Paradise, which doesn't happen too often. They draw for turn. It's a node, which is not the right Raziel, so they will just pass. We'll draw for turn. Ooh, Ball Balancer. You got it. We'll use Ball Balancer's effect in order to scale a copy of this Water Dancer, then Requiem targeting the Fiendsmith Desiree to increase its attack. Let's get in for 1,034. Then in main phase 2, we will just pass back to our opponent. They draw for turn. That's a really good one, but maybe not enough. They'll go Ice into Node. We will Fiendsmith in Paradise here, and everything goes to the graveyard but the boy. They will go for the Cross here, and we do not have a response to it, which means they are going to get 1 draw, but Nibiru is not it. We'll draw for turn, and that should be all she wrote. We will activate the effect of the sequence in graveyard targeting the Desiree, and the Requiem in graveyard targeting the Desiree, and oh my god, we still don't have lethal. Okay, maybe now. They'll draw for turn, and it's Magnamut. Okay, Magnamut's good, but Magnamut is not enough. They're going to go Magnamut effect, and we will Fiendsmith in Paradise and Desiree in order to negate the entire board and extend a little further. All right. Seeing this, they will just go end phase. We will draw for turn, and now we should actually be able to win. We'll go into Necroquip, triggering the Desiree in order to send this copy of Magnamut, Engraver, shuffling back this copy of Requiem, and finally, we will make High Caesar and get in for lethal. Holy. So hopefully now you see that if forced on the back foot, this deck totally folds. That's going to be terrible for game 3, in which it appears we have drawn every single Garnet in the deck. Okay. They're going to begin with a copy of Sword into X effect in order to grab from deck to hand a copy of Node. They're going to overlay for Duo Drive, activate the Duo Drive, and we do not have non-engine, so it'll come off. They'll go Cross, and then summon out an Ice Raziel into a Node Raziel effect in order to tag back into the X Raziel into a 3-mat detonator with a copy of Twins underneath it, as bad as it gets for a Pendulum deck. They're going to set 2 and pass back to us. Oh, right on time. We're going to begin with a copy copy of Engraver. Afterwards, we're going to go for a Tracked into an Ash Blossom. That's fine. The Lurie's in hand. I'm not too beat up about it. We'll go Fire Dancer. They will go Detonator. And I mean, what do you want to see? They all go to Face Up Extra. At least we get to use the Fire Dancer to do nothing, to get a cross negate. Pendulums in a Detonator. What do you want? So we're back with the deck, and let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The new Performage cards give this deck a 1-card combo, and a plethora of 2-card combos. Having access to a rank up that revives from graveyard and then ranks up means they gain access to the full power of Umbral Horror Masquerade, which is a negate, it halves their life points, it even sends a card from the hand to the graveyard. That, paired with Fiendsmiths, lets the deck have a pretty strong turn 1 board off of a singular card. 2. Shadowmaker is good. I mean, it not only gets you a rank up magic, it gives you the Foolish of any Performage, and when paired in the level 5 focused version of the deck, can be 4 material on field, using 2 for a UDF, and then the rest for whatever generic endboard pieces you desire. And 3. The deck has a pretty reasonable amount of non-engine spaces in both versions, so you can run hand traps as necessary. And the cons. 1. The deck is extremely vulnerable to hand traps. Crossout is essential because in both versions of the deck there are multiple choke points that can just end your turn on the spot. 2. The endboard is about as impressive as any rogue deck, if not a little worse. There's not a reason to play it, as all the tools in the engine are low power. And 3. The deck cannot play into an established Ryziel or Malice board. It needs scales. It's weak until it establishes board presence. You're relying on your non-engine to completely wall the opponent out, or you're losing. All in all, Performage seems to have gained an identity with the new support, but pretty much any other Pendulum deck is going to be doing more impressive things with more powerful cards. Even with a Heavy Metal Foes Electromite unban, which I have to imagine the release of these cards telegraphs, I don't think it's doing anything. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These videos are made possible by, and occasionally suggested by, my patrons, some of whom have paid a ton of money to be mentioned at the end of the video. A huge heartfelt thank you to Elena Tincher, Alex Perea, Allison Elliott, Ally, Anthony S. Sierri, APK, Early Tier 0, Brett Henry, Cool Name, Damon O'Neill, Dark Rebel XYZ, Derpin Dragon, DJ Elefante, DK Gondo, NB Adams, FPS Lord Derp, Garrett Ran, Hergalicious, Juan Cruz Avilazati, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Luis Hernandez, Lullaby of Souls, Master of Faster, Matthew M. Derezzo, MBT Play Madolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nacho Gonzalez, Nebula Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pombo, Project Mercury, Rohan Doge, Rose Lapine, Serpentax, Shelby Piet, Sly Ninja 43, Soul CLG, Troy Says By Erasure Is Gay, Who Is Nick, Wonder Waffle, and Yuki Kazami. Couldn't have done it without you.